Okay. Looks I'm all my lonesome here, but that's good. I hope the rural internet holds up. And I'm just gonna drink my coffee here while I see if any of the crazy people that have me on their, what do you call it, they get notifications, tune in. Aha, we have one loyal thumbs up from some zealot that follows me religiously. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know who you are, sir or madam, but you're the first in the chat, so welcome. I salute your your dedication. And now the other ones are starting to come in. All right, so oh, look at them rushing in. You met me in Hobart, Sonny. I remember you. I think I do. I'm fucking terrible with names, but your name rings a bell. I think you had a beard. A little short beard, possibly. I think that might be it. So yeah, well, thanks for joining the stream. I had a bit of a troll kind of post, which I've linked to. So in the description of this video at the bottom, you've got a link to the blog post where I basically take Andrew Wilson to task for cowardly avoiding a debate with me about Sedevacantism versus Orthobros, and where I expose him for having a feud and slip. That's not feud and slip, that's a feud and slip. So, there's been a long feud going on between the true, good, honest Catholic position that is the correct, real one, and of course the fake schismatic Orthobros, which pretending to be Christians, but we all know what they really are. And I'm gonna see if I can actually play you guys the clip of where Andrew admits that Catholicism is the original. Let's see now. The original religion. Let's see if I can find it quickly. All right. There. Let's see if I can play this for you.
How Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original, we fight amongst ourselves about which was.
How do I do the sound on this? Can somebody tell me if that played with sound or not? I'll just run it back again.
There's a distinction between how Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original, we fight amongst ourselves about which was.
Let me see if that works. Let me just see that. Try that one more time.
There's a distinction between how Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original, we fight amongst ourselves about which was.
And you can see that he just admitted it. Catholicism was the original.
There's a distinction between how Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original, we fight amongst ourselves about which was.
That's right, Andrew. It's the original. I think I can. How do I get rid of this video now? Okay, go back to the video. There we go. Hey, I've learned how to do some new shit on this. I'm getting good. So let me just plug this back in. Oh, where is it? There. I hope you guys don't know if the sound was valid or not, but anyway, let me know, those of you that can hear and have ears to hear. That's basically it. I'm essentially trolling Andrew to see if he'll come up for a debate, which I'm guessing he won't. Bob Newhart goes bat. I don't know. I don't know what that means. You've got a little bat symbol there. Sonar. I don't know. I don't know what that means, Bob. But yeah, I'm essentially trolling Andrew to see if he'll come on for a debate, which I doubt he will. There's no real upside for him because I would expose his false religion and, you know, his bad logic in being an Orthodox instead of a proper Catholic. Amy says, was not the East the center of so many early heresies? Maybe because it was more civilized through Pelagius was British. Well, no, I mean, the East was the center of a lot of heresies. And there's a reason why we call backstabby, lying, fraudulent people like that do dodgy deals. We call that stuff Byzantine. There's a reason for that, because the Byzantines, which is the East, have always been known, you know, they're a blend of Turks and Greeks and, you know, those kind of people. So that would be my argument. I mean, my argument would be from sort of a big picture scenario sort of thing. Maidels Mary says, orthobros are repellent to most women, I think, and over-the-top greasy machismo. That's beautiful. It's funny because on the last stream I did a couple of streams ago, whatever, where I talked about on Andrew Wilson, I mentioned that, like, you know, his name is very American, Andrew Wilson, but he looks like a Greek to me, you know. Sort of got that Ron Jeremy vibe to him. If you don't know who Ron Jeremy is and you're going to Google it, well, get some bleach for your eyes ready after that. But yeah, in fairness, I must say that there is a distinction between American Orthobros and, you know, Russian or Greek Orthodox. They're quite different beasts. Bob, I have no idea what you're doing, dude. Oh, you're telling people what time it is where I am. Oh, yeah, I am. I pretty much a night creature, yes. Ron Jeremy, exactly, yes. Marie knows. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, the Russian and the Greek Orthodox are actually, they're quite solid people. I mean, schismatics all the same, but they're quite solid guys. I think the Americans, in their eternal reach for something real, because they're, and I don't blame the American people, don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for them, because America's the first Freemasonic country. Yes, I paused intentionally there because there's a whole bunch of Americans freaking out right now, but it's true. America was founded, the American Revolution against the British was founded by French money. And the people that got that money from France were basically Freemasons, and they essentially blamed the economic collapse of the country on the king and his consort. You might be familiar with Louis and Marie Antoinette. You know, well, Louis, the whatever number it was, the king, and his wife Marie Antoinette, who both had their head chopped off. But if you actually look at their, they weren't bad rulers as such. And Marie Antoinette has been painted to be this horrific woman that just didn't care less, and it was like, oh, you know, the peasants are starving, they don't have any bread, and she said, well, let them eat cake. Apparently that's not who she was. So yeah, Madel says, I'm an American, so these guys are predominantly who I see. I'm getting there, Madels. I agree with you. But in essence, America is a Freemasonic country. It's been created by Freemasons. All of the precedents that you guys had certainly at the beginning, and I'm thinking pretty much throughout, have all been Freemasons. They're all part of Skull and Bones, secret societies. Whether you call, you got to understand that the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Carbonari, the Rosicrucians, the, Golden Dawn, all of these guys, they're all secret societies, which are all Satanists, because their name is Legion. Sonny says, I think they are the Pacer family. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. But in any case, the point is, America has never had a culture, and it is the so-called melting pot of the world. So it's a country that was founded by Freemasons on Freemasonic principles, because keep in mind that things like freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all that stuff, that doesn't exist anywhere else, and no one has ever been so stupid as to believe that free speech ever existed, even exists now, or ever can exist. It never has. It absolutely never will exist. And there's very good reasons why it shouldn't exist. You can go from the very mild blasphemy to all sorts of stuff. The same Freemasonic little ditties that they try to tell children, sticks and stone will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, sticks and stones may break your bones, but the fact that words will never hurt me is absolute nonsense. And in fact, I challenge anybody that is honest. Okay, this applies to you if you actually have a conscience, and if you actually are, generally speaking, an honest person. Because if you are an honest person, in other words, if you're generally good, right? We're all flawed, we're all fuckers. But if you're generally a good person, an honest person, and you have a conscience, in other words, you're not a Satanist, there are concepts, there are things that you are falling to only one of two categories. Either you're a martyr or you're a warrior. Like, those are the only two valid sort of people. Now, everything else in between is like an NPC. They're basically non-player characters. Because if you're a martyr, you're willing to die for your principles, but you're just not willing to kill or cause violence to protect. You're willing to stand in front of and be murdered for your principles, for innocence, etc. So like priests, for example, Catholic priests, a lot of Catholic priests, especially in South America, that were executed for not breaking the seal of confession. That's a martyr. A warrior is a guy that's like, he's not a priest, but he's sort of like, well, not only am I not going to break the seal of confession, but I'm going to try and kill you before you fucking kill me. That's that kind of attitude. And the epitome of this has been presented really, really well in an old film, but worth watching. Now, if you're a Gen Z guy, this film will move very slowly for you. So, don't do drugs. But I'm saying if you're a little bit buzzed and just chilling out, because it's a 2 or 3 hour film, but it's brilliant. And it shows absolutely the difference between these two guys, these two archetypes of men, the martyr and the warrior. And they're played by Jeremy Irons and Robert De Niro, respectively. It's a brilliant film, and you should watch it. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but absolutely that would be the way to differentiate between people that matter. Now, do you have to be a martyr? Do you have to be a warrior? No, and just keep in mind, like, let's say you're just a guy who you're what in the feudal system would have been the equivalent of a peasant, right? You're just the baker. You just make bread and you just want to live your life. You're a bricklayer, whatever. You're just a normal guy going about your thing. Just because you're a normal guy going about your thing does not mean that you cannot be a martyr or a warrior, because there is that too. Being a warrior doesn't mean that you have to like carry a gun and it doesn't mean that. It can be, but it doesn't mean that. But most people are like, shit, I'm not going to die for that, And the easy way to figure out is if you're a Catholic, if you're a believer, and you were given the choice just for yourself, okay, let's exclude family and kids and stuff like that, but just for yourself, if your choice is, right, we're going to kill you unless you denounce Christ, what would you do? And if your answer is, fuck it, I'd rather die than do that, then you're one of these two people. You're a player character. You know, you're either a martyr or you're a warrior. You're one of those two. If you're like, fuck it, you mean I gotta die? All I gotta say is like, no, Jesus didn't come back from the dead. No, there was no resurrection or something like that, and I'm okay. I'm gonna live. That's all I need to do. Most people would do that. Definitely at least 90% of people would do, if not 99.9999. So that's that's where I'm going with that. And the thing is, the Americans don't have that history. They don't have the history of the Crusades. They don't have the history. Their history is like a couple of hundred years old, and it's not even their history, because who are the Americans? They're the Germans, the Italians, the English, mostly Anglo-Saxon, but not only. There's Teutonic people, there's Latin people, then the slave trade, like added African people, and there's a melange of people, and there's of course a lot of Jewish influence. The Pharisees were coming over in droves as well and running things, and instituting the very creation of America, really, and running it. Today they basically run it. So it doesn't have its own real culture. I mean, the closest thing that America has to culture is the mostly mythological Wild West cowboy thing that exists. There was definitely a real history there, but it's a very brief period of time, and it's been romanticized, as all mythologies of all people, all cultures get mythologized. But there isn't much there, and if you're not some redneck with a 20-gallon hat and like a 6-gun strapped to your side, doesn't even really apply to you. So you're gonna be what if you're like your average New Yorker, then what is your identity? Well, I'm a New Yorker and I speak a bit different, I'm rude, and it's very superficial. So what happens in their search for something true, which all human beings have, on some level we all have it, some people will try and they will gravitate towards this religion or that religion or something that feels a bit more honest. Now, Orthodoxy is more prevalent than the churchianity that is the Novus Ordo, or the Satanism that is the Novus Ordo Catholicism, because Catholicism has got a massive issue, because of course they, the fake Catholics, the Novus Ordo, the Vatican II Catholics, all their clergy are absolutely corrupt. They're all Satanists, Freemasons, pedophiles, and so on. And so you've got this massive pedophilia problem, which has been going on since, the fake popes took over in 1958. And the average person is somewhat aware of that. They're aware of the absolute hypocrisy and total lies and fraud of the Catholic Church, which is not really Catholic Church, but it's impersonating the Catholic Church. Well, the Russian Orthodox and the Greek Orthodox, which started out their little enclaves within America, they're pretty solid dudes. They're certainly closer to Christianity than any and all Protestant denominations by like orders of magnitude. So the average American sort of says, hey, these guys they've got like a history. There's something real here. It's closer to the truth. And they gravitate to that. But unfortunately, the average American is still this plastic-coated, artificial sweetened, carcinogen-driven creature. And again, I'm not trying to offend Americans. That's not the point here. Every nation has got like positives and negatives, and that the Americans have unfortunately had this history of being brainwashed into like lies to a much greater extent than the rest of us on the planet. And it's unfortunate because, you can see it if you do business with Americans. It's quite different the way that the Americans do business. It's all about profit and profit and profit, to a point where the humanity of it is run roughshod over the profit margin thing, generally speaking. And again, that doesn't mean that every American is just a greedy, profit-driven guy. There's plenty, there's a lot of good people in America. I'm not saying that the average American is some kind of scumbag. I'm not saying that. I'm saying generally the culture of America, it doesn't exist. It's been artificially created. It's got an artificial veneer over everything. And they don't know any better because they don't know any better. It's like the white guy that goes to Africa and goes, oh, there's a beautiful forest. If we can just cut down all those trees and kill all those monkeys, and that's right, and then we'll kill all the animals around here, and we'll plant potatoes, and the soil is not good for it. They've fucked up the ecological system. Like the Germans in Botswana, some fucking Germans said, oh, we need to put some fences here to prevent animal migration, because otherwise, the foot and mouth disease kills the cattle, which is one of the economic foundations of this country. And they did that, and they fucking wiped out millions of wild animals. That was an absolute huge resource for that whole country, because they don't know a fucking thing about that. They just come in there and with their bullshit European ideas from Germany. It's always the Germans, and they fucked up a whole ecosystem that was going on there for millions of years. And in essence, the American is the epitome of that, because he doesn't have any really deep roots in the past at all. And any roots that they did have been intentionally wiped out, destroyed, and forgotten. So it's not really their fault. So the so-called Eastern Orthodox of America are this, we're the cool guys. We got the history. We're like the Crusaders of, well, no, not Crusaders, because, well, we didn't go on the Crusades. We're kind of like fighting with the Muslims on that. But yeah, anyway, we all got like icons and shit. It looks really cool. And yeah, we got beards, and yeah, we're manly men. Yeah. That's what it's all about. And it's just yet another social club, because that's what church is in Protestant. It's a social club. It's got fuck all to do with your willingness to die for your religious belief, And when I say die, we're Catholics, we're Christians, we're not terrorists, despite what the FBI would like to label us as. So the point is, even when faced with death, real Christians, Athanasius walked for a year to get to Rome so he could be eaten by lions, and he was all happy about it, because yeah, now people will see what a real Christian is like. And he was right. I mean, I read that guy's letters and stuff, and I'm just fucking in awe. I mean, I'm if Athanasius suddenly popped up in front of me, I'd be like, dude, by the I'm not worthy kind of thing, because that guy's a martyr, definitely a martyr. And martyrs are much higher on the hierarchy of Christian hierarchy than warriors are. I am definitely not a fucking martyr. I know my position. I know which position I play, and play to your strengths, sort of thing. So that's why. And in fairness, I think Andrew's probably one of the better Eastern Orthodox, but schismatic still is schismatic, right? Let me just catch up with the chat here, because you guys are being quite good. I like that you're alive in there. Merg says, Kurgan, if you were in a position to do so, how would you restore the Catholic monarchy? Oh, well, I'd have to be emperor, and I'd have to have an army, a big fucking army. And the first thing I'd do is I'd clean out the Vatican completely, get a couple of proper priests to reconsecrate every single pebble within the walls of the Vatican. I would absolutely put on trial every corrupt politician, every fake priest, every fake bishop. I would make pedophilia, like a raping of children and that sort of thing, like violent murders that don't have extenuating circumstances and so on. Capital crimes, the death penalty would be reinstated immediately. Roman law, not Anglo-Saxon law, would be imposed on whichever territories I had. The papacy would be reestablished, and Catholic, the state's laws would be based on Catholic dogma. That's how I'd start. That would just be week one. You know, there'll be quite a bit of cleaning up to do after I'm done. And then, as for instituting a Catholic monarchy, I don't necessarily think that monarchy is the way to go. I'd go with an emperor, which again, that's why I said I'd have to become emperor and have a big army, because I'd hate the job. Don't get me wrong. I would absolutely hate being the emperor. It would be such a pain in the ass. But you know what, when needs must. So if I gotta do it for a bit, fine, I'd do it. And then what I would try and do is I would try and select who my successor would be, which I would probably not select my own son or sons or whatever. I would give, you know, my children good positions if they've been raised properly, and if they have an aptitude for it, and if they want to do it, then yes. But probably not being emperor, just because it's a lot. It's a lot of, unless, you know, my son or whatever was a natural, but I can tell already he's not. But you know, if he was a natural sort of alpha, wants to lead, wants to take on the responsibility. But I'm afraid in my family we've got a long genetic history of guys that just want to mind their own fucking business, do their own thing, go explore the world. You know, we're not normal sort of people, really. And I would try and choose a successor that he wouldn't be a guy that necessarily you know, follows everything I say, because he's got to be his own man. He's got to be his own leader. I might even disagree with him on some things, but he has to be somebody that I would trust to keep and hold Catholic dogma as true and correct. Now, the cool thing about Catholicism is that all the rules are written down in the Code of Canon Law of 1917. And as emperor, I know that this is not, strictly speaking, you know, maybe correct, but there was always a tension between the emperor and the pope. There always was. But as emperor, I would want to make sure that whoever gets elected as pope understands a couple of things. One is the Code of Canon Law of 1917 does not get changed anymore. That's it. That is the fucking foundation of Catholicism. That and whatever papal encyclicals were written between 1917 and 1958, 9th of October, when the last pope that was valid, Pius XII, died. And my intimation to whoever would become the new pope would be, first of all, he has to have a spotless record of following Catholic dogma in all its respects, because the few bishops that are left, you know, there are only a few bishops left that are valid, and some of them are making errors on following Catholic dogma. So those guys would be disqualified in my mind. So first of all, for a pope to become the pope would have to be a guy that understands Catholic dogma and understands the need to not fuck with it anymore. You know, we've had 2,000 years of penetrating insight into the Gospels and into the tradition of Catholicism. It's good enough. We don't really need to tweak it anymore or add to it anything. And by add to it, I don't mean making anything new, because I don't think the Catholic Church ever did that. But, you know, you can infer things, right? Like you can say, well, A plus B plus C, okay, leads to D. Oh, and if we can conjecture A, B, and C leads to D, we might conjecture that A, B, C, D leads to E. And that's what's happened for 2,000 years. But, you know, people like St. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, the doctors of the church, and so on, they've pretty much covered the human element of that. And certainly down the line, things like I want to do an interview with Tony soon, maybe tomorrow night if we get a chance, about artificial intelligence, because I actually believe artificial intelligence is yet another demonic fucking thing. The point is, that's how I'd go about it, by brute force. It's a short answer. Hello, Sam. Hail Kurgan, howdy, loyal henchman. Merck says, I despise the secular take on saints. Oh yeah, it's absolute nonsense. Merck says, no, saints were not perfect or exemplary people most of the time. A whole chunk were reprobates. Yeah, a lot of them. What made them great was their acts of faith, their devotion, their repentance, their example of what a good Catholic is. Or not even a good, yeah, good Catholic ultimately, but, you know, just Catholic, kind of, yeah. Also, good morning. Good morning to you too, Merck. Sam, oh, Sam is my PR dude. He's like, ask me or meet where we got our cool avatar. Ah, I'm back. So we need 5 more paying members so go on the membership on this channel. You go on the membership, subscribe, and you become a subscriber. When we get 5 more, we've got 10. I will. Oh, there, I'm back. I was keep freezing, so rural internet's been bad weather. But what I'm saying is, once we get 10 paying members, which we need only 5 more, I'll do subscriber-only content where you guys get to decide a lot of what we talk about in that subscriber-only thing. So it can be even stuff where we help each other out, or where we address a specific topic that one of you guys is interested in, or more of you. Kaneji goes, Kurgan, do you still do Systema? I've finished the rough draft now of an advanced Systema book. It depends on what you mean by Systema. Do I train regularly inside the gym with a bunch of other guys? No, I don't, because I'm trying to like get my farm going and stuff. But pretty much everything I do on the farm in terms of physical movements and so on is using all Systema principles, and I'm fixing up some injuries I had and some stuff that happens on the farm by doing Systema stuff. The Systema book that's coming out now is advanced principles that I have, you know, that I know, that I used, and they include things like knife work and gun work, but more, and also more importantly, I think, a lot of information on like sensitivity work, which leads into the so-called woo-woo part of Systema, which is not woo-woo at all. It's all based on science. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff in there. And right at the end of that part on... Yeah, I put the philosophy part at the end of the book because it doesn't really affect the practical aspects of Systema. I mean, it can do in a relatively... I don't want to say minor way, because the effect it can have is great on the person, but in terms of the practical applications of Systema, your philosophy is not going to be one of the huge factors in your ability to perform it, you know. I hope I've explained that. But anyway, somebody please let me know if you're getting okay, if the stream is okay, or if it's getting very choppy. When I see that I freeze on here, I just stop talking and wait for it to go, because we had rain for like 2 days straight, and it seems to have stopped, but there's still a bit of wind, I think. So sometimes that makes it rural internet time. And yeah, if you're in the chat, go for it. Keep firing out questions and stuff. Cooper, hello, sir. Oh, Cooper has just ordered 2 of my little novellas. Just received Confederate Rising and The Shadow of Monte Castello and Monte Bianco. Looking forward to reading them. I'll review them afterwards. Great, thank you very much. If you read that name, Cooper Chauvin, and you read In the Shadow of Monte Bianco, you'll find there's a Cooper Chauvin in there. So I do that with like my friends or people that ask me, you know, I'll put their name as one of the characters in a story, just to like, you know, the people that tell me that it's okay to do that, they know that their character could be a bad dude, he could die, all sorts of shit can happen, because half the time I don't know what's going to happen with my characters. You know, they've got their own little lives, and they'll try and derail my stories and plot lines all the time. But yeah, so he's got 3 little novellas. Confederate Rising is set in the same sort of generic universe-ish as the trilogy of the Overlords of Mars, which are compiled into one book in Moon Nazis. Or Nazi Moon, rather, sorry. Nazi Moon is basically a compilation of 3 books, which this is part 2. And, Nazi Moon is about almost definitely more than twice as thick as this, because it's 827 pages. If you get the paper version on Amazon, you can get it a bit cheaper as in digital format on my ebook store. But yeah, so Confederate Rising is set into that sort of world, but in the far future, sort of ish, maybe. While In the Shadow of Monte Castello and In the Shadow of Monte Bianco is my first foray into horror. But as it turns out, it's not just horror, it's humor and a little bit of noir, a little bit of fantasy, well, quite a lot of fantasy, I suppose. But it's, I don't know, everybody that's read it so far has, they're a bit lazy about leaving reviews, but they and Cooper, if you leave me a review, please leave me the review both on Amazon and on the e-store, because on the e-store there's not as many reviews because people don't know of it as much as Amazon, but it is the better side. If you're gonna read, I'm trying to do with all my books that on Amazon you can only get the paper copy, and the digital copy I sell direct from my store because I can do it cheaper and I get a bigger percentage, so it's a win-win for everybody. But anyway, enough about my self-marketing. I've got Sam for that. So I think the rural internet has probably affected quite a few of you, because looks like the chat people are dropping off. Let me know if you can still hear me or not, because if it's really bad, maybe I'll just end it here. But if not, I finished my coffee really quick. So and there may be a delay, so that's probably also why there might be a silent chat at the moment. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to make myself another quick coffee. It's almost ready. It'll take me a minute. Fire some questions or data or information or whatever you want to talk about in the chat. Internet is okay, no longer choppy. Oh, cool. Tell you what, then I'm just gonna put up the little clip of Andrew Wilson admitting that
There's a distinction
Catholicism
between how Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original. We fight amongst ourselves about which was.
No, we don't fight among ourselves, because we're not one thing, Andrew. We are right and you're wrong. I'll leave this in and I'll go make a little cup of coffee.
There's a distinction between how Orthodox Christianity and Catholic Christianity, which is the original. We fight amongst ourselves about which was.
Okay, and I'm back. Let's get back to that. Okay. Amit says, re-channel subscription for those interested. I only was able to subscribe via desktop. Mobile app didn't show an option. Oh, thank you, Amit. See, I learned something new every day. So this is the plan. I'm hoping tomorrow to have a talk or an interview. Sorry, let me plug in the microphone again. There. Hopefully that's a bit. So tomorrow with Tony, we're gonna try and talk a little bit about artificial intelligence, the users of it. You know, what's the deal with that sort of thing. I've got my take on it. He's got his take on it. Should be interesting. And then, Greenie Houdini didn't send me an email. We were going to have an interview with her about living off grid and how to set it up and what her setup's like. But you know, Greenie, if you're listening, I know that you hit that bottle of vodka hard every time. So maybe she forgot. I don't know. Maybe she's passed out on her off-grid floor somewhere. I don't know. But those should be two interesting little interviews, which I would like to do as soon as possible. And somebody suggested that I have a debate with Stefan Molyneux, which would be a very short spanking for him. They're trying to set it up. I'm not going to hold my breath that he would come on, because, you know, there's a reason that my subscribers are only like a couple of thousand, and it's been only a couple of thousand for like 3-4 years now. I tell a bit too many things that are true, so people tend to get scared of trying to argue with me. And then anyone that like looks into it and then looks at the Jay Dyer debate and sees the like 3-hour video I made of taking apart that whole debate where people say, "Oh, Jay Dyer won," and no, he didn't. He's just doing his usual blah, 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 blah. But actually, when you like look at what he says and you look at the things that he tries to pretend are points, none of them are. So I think that's got quite a lot of views on the channel. And there's also a link to the written expose of Jay Dyer. So he's just like, and I've done another one recently on the blog. So people look at that and they're like, "Oh fuck, I don't want to argue with that guy." Cooper says, "Okay, I'll check out the e-store. I could transfer my previous reviews of your other books at the same time." That'll be great, thank you. Someday I'll have to get around to Caveman Theory, even though it's in a filthy ebook format. Yeah, I agree with you, but I had to leave Caveman Theory as a filthy ebook format because, you know, I didn't necessarily want to get like blocked on Amazon by Amazon or whatever, so I had to leave it in a format that people can access without me being penalized for what's in there. And to be fair, I've kind of held back a little bit, and you know, there's actually another series that I've been writing, which is called TMOS, which is Theoretical Models of Society. Because people requested it, by the way. I did a poll and it was like, oh, everybody wanted to read that. And then whenever I put those blog posts up, there's like not that many people as normal reading it. So one of those things. But anyway, one of the next, I described, I think we're on part 4 or something, and I described, I think one of the last ones I did was about the concept of a man. But there are some very important things I want to discuss. One is the concept of a woman, and another is the concept of we've been all lied to for so long about so many things that we now accept stuff that is absolutely wrong, artificial, bad for us on every level, you know, from food to intellectual topics to the reality of what a good person is, as correct. And they're absolute lies. They're not good, they're not correct, they're wrong. you know, because I've had the truffle thieves, we had this conversation of like, you know, if you get a guy trespassing on your land and trying to steal your livestock or whatever. Back in the old days, a guy who did that and got killed for it, it wasn't much of a, you know, as long as it was pretty clear that, hey, this guy came here, was trying to steal my cows, well, he got shot and he died. It was sort of like, well, you know, maybe just shooting him right away in the head without even giving him a warning shot is kind of a bit excessive, and, you know, maybe that's not too cool, but it wasn't like, oh my God, you're an evil murderer, you know, you're a threat to society. It wasn't like that. And now we've reached the point where if a guy in most of Europe, and I think pretty much Canada and America as well, if a guy breaks into your house with a gun, shoots you, misses, somehow you manage to knock him out, you tie him up, and you call the cops in this country, they'll be like, oh, you're guilty of kidnapping. Be like, are you what? Are you fucking kidding me? You know, we've gone from like, it's kind of okay to shoot a guy who came to steal like your cow, to a guy who's trying to kill you in your own house, and you can't even like fucking tie him up for the cops to come and arrest him, because then you're kind of breaking the law. It's, you know, it's completely gone fucking crazy. And where is the line? You know, the line is really actually quite simple. Justice is very simple. Like throughout most of human history, you know, with a few crazy exceptions, but, you know, tribes of people used to be like 150, 200 people, and they never really had an issue about how to punish transgressions, you know. As far as I'm concerned, if a guy breaks into your home when you're in there, to my mind, that guy is an attempted murderer, because he breaks into your home. You have to assume that he knows you're in there, because, you know, he's obviously breaking into your home, so he probably figured out, oh, when is the best time to do it. And if he breaks in when you're there, he probably knows that you're there. So you have to assume that he's breaking into your home knowing that you're at home. To me, that makes him attempted murder, because in order to get away, he must be ready to kill you. That, you know, what if I'm sitting in my house cleaning my shotgun? He's got to consider that possibility. And if he's considered that possibility, then it means that his intent is, well, even if he is cleaning his shotgun, I'll just shoot him first, right? So as far as I'm concerned, if a guy brings to your house when you're there and you kill his ass, in my mind, if I were making the laws of the planet, that'd be like, that's acceptable. There's going to be some caveats, because again, Roman law. So it doesn't mean, you know, a 5-year-old toddler who's lost steps into your kitchen and you blow him away and, oh, that's cool. No, that's not how it works, because again, Roman law. Some like a homeless dude who's like, or whatever, some guy who's escaped from a mental asylum, but is, you know, 90 years old and is got dementia and is not a threat, stumbles into your home and you blow him away. Again, no, that's not cool. But, you know, a 25-year-old with an AK kicks your door down and starts spraying the walls, and you kill his ass, fucking get a medal, you know? Amit says, it's amazing how that happened in maybe 3 generations. It couldn't have been like that prior to World War II, re self-defense. It wasn't. Absolutely wasn't. I mean, in my family, you know, there are things that come out in my family only after the people are dead. It's just like, it's one of those things. I think it's been a trend for a long time in my genetic history, that all my ancestors, like, all right, he's dead now. Okay, now we can tell you the story about, you know, where all the bodies are buried or whatever. And it's like, in the Second World War, these so-called partisans, right, the freedom fighters, that the narrative, the World War II narrative for Italy is, we had this really bad dude called Mussolini, who like teamed up with this other really bad dude, Hitler, and they were just doing bad dude things, you know. But the Italian people, because they're kind of weak and stupid. They just went along with it, but they weren't really into it, you know. And then when the Americans, the heroes, you know, the heroes of World War II, when the Americans invaded Italy and liberated us from the evil Nazis, who were only there because of, you know, this bad dude Mussolini, the Americans liberated us, and as soon as we had just a little bit of freedom, all the Italians, all the good Italians, which was most of them, all became freedom fighters, and it was the freedom fighters that ultimately went to catch evil Mussolini in his White Tower and hung him upside down and killed him. Yeah, and everybody was happy and everyone clapped. That's the narrative. Now, if you actually look at who Mussolini was, and there's a brilliant, I don't know if it's all over or if it's just in Italy, but there's a series on Prime. The first of the 8 episodes is free. And I just thought, oh, it's going to be some more propaganda shit. But I actually show you the real historical facts of who Mussolini was, what he came from, what his life was like, the things that he went through and whatever. And man, you know, you look at that and you try and put yourself in that situation at that time, in that position. And it's like, you know, if I was born in that era, and I don't think I would have followed the ultimate end of fascism, because, you know, my grandfather refused. He risked being killed because he said, nah, fuck you, I'm not becoming a fascist. I'm not going to be a card-carrying member of fascism. You fuck off and leave me alone. He literally put a gun in a guy's mouth to not do it. But my other grandfather, he was a pilot. And he was fighting in Libya. And he wasn't necessarily a very nice guy either. So, you know, what the fuck do I know? I mean, until you're there, like what they tell you about the history, it's all fucking nonsense. But the reality was that the actual so-called freedom fighters were basically the worst parts of society, right? The thugs, the guys who've got guns, the guys who are like happy to do violence on their neighboring citizens just to like get a leg up, right? And they'll become the new government if they're lucky or if they kill enough people or whatever. Anyway, so my grandfather and a friend of his apparently were, I still don't know exactly who did what, but they were like going hunting because there was no food. They had to hunt to eat, basically. And so they had their shotguns, and like, you know, one of the ways you carry a shotgun is like you put the gun here, so the barrel is up there, and you kind of like, you almost have it in your hand already, and if anything happens, you just, you know, quickly move like that. So they were walking along, and these 2 freedom fighters, partisans, came along with machine guns, submachine guns. Hey, you got to give us your rifles. We're confiscating your rifles for the cause, which is basically just fucking stealing your gun, right? And I say, oh, but you know, we need the rifle to, like, you know, hunt for our family because, like, we don't have food. He goes, no, you got to give us your rifle, and like the submachine gun pointing at them. So the one guy that, and I don't know if it was my grandfather or the other guy or whatever, but they had this shotgun with like just 2-shot shotgun, you know, like an over and under or whatever. Goes, oh, okay, well, if we got to give you our gun, then, you know, fine, we'll give it to you. And he turned like this and just went, whoa, whoa. 2 shots, took 2 heads off. And it was a big secret because it was like, well, you know, kind of murder. But as my dad told me the story when he found out, he only found that out when his dad died. When my dad told me the story, goes like, what the fuck? That's not murder. That's just an accident on the job. You know, you're a fucking criminal, and you try to rob the guns from the wrong guys. It's an accident on the job. You're just not good at your work. And I can't disagree with that. So let's see. Amit says, and yet Mussolini is in heaven, likely, and Churchill is in hell, likely. I don't know. I mean, Mussolini also did basically destroyed the papal states, or, you know, him, the Pope at the time, whatever. There was papal states in Italy. There were like regions of Italy that were like falling under the papacy, and Mussolini sort of destroyed that. So I don't know, you know, but it's hard to tell who the fuck knows what really, really, really is the true story on any one of these details, because it's really difficult. There's so much propaganda around the Second World War that it's hard to tell what's true and what's not. Sam says, my girlfriend and I haven't been getting along lately, but I showed her my new loyal henchman avatar and I got laid immediately, and she cleaned the house too. I think Sam maybe trying to sell membership to my channel. He's not getting a cut. I don't know. He's just a very loyal henchman. So yeah, if you're in the chat here and you want to become a member, like, join up. Thanks. I've seemed to have become a little bit of a coffee addict lately, and I haven't been for a while, but I'm also feeling a little bit healthier. I've started to cut out bread, flour, all that stuff, all the processed shit, and try to just eat meat as much as I can, and eggs and that sort of thing. I still screw up regularly, but only a few spots left, man. I think, Sam, I think it's time for you to deploy with this one simple trick. I think, followed by about 5,000 word essay on why you should join the Kurgan channel on YouTube. I'm also toying with the idea of having a Rumble channel, and maybe having 2 Rumble channels, one in English where I can just speak my mind, and one in Italian where I can just, I don't know, start a revolution or get myself killed, or, just tell things about our country the way they really are. It's gonna fucking piss some people off. Yeah. So, what else have I got to tell you guys? Come on, there's 13 of you. That's just like, the original apostle plus Judah. I wanted to show you something else, but I'll tell you what, I'll boost this dude. I've been reading this a bit, Minimalist Gardening by David the Good. He's got a machete on the cover, which I think he's trying to get over his own trauma, because at one point David, using a machete, nearly sliced his own fucking hand off. And I'm like, David the Good is a pretty cool dude, and he's got a very successful YouTube channel on gardening and stuff. But we were teasing the shit out of him. It's like, he's got like, I think 11 or 12 kids, and then there's an interview I do with him, because this guy was a hardcore Protestant, because his father, his original, real, biological father, was killed, I think, before he was born in Turkey, for being a Christian, a Christian missionary. So he was raised by his stepdad, because his mother remarried, and who was also a Protestant pastor. So he was raised in a family of, not only a Protestant pastor, but imagine, like as a little kid, you're like, fuck, I never met my dad because some fucking, fundamentalist Muslim or whatever, like, killed him before I was even born. That's gonna, leave a mark. So, but he's converted to Catholicism a while back, and I have an interview with him on that. And a few of his kids did, and now more of his kids did, and he occasionally sends me a little update, and he's a really cool dude. So, and he's very good at gardening and that sort of stuff. So, small little book, but if you're thinking on that. So, Sam says, "Are you growing anything other than olives there?" No, I've attempted to grow other things, but I've got the black thumb of death, which is why I really should be a warlord. I'm not the farmer. I'm just raising any livestock. Now I've cleared an area where I want to put like a chicken coop, and I've got most of the chicken coop ready to build up. But the area when I want to put it, because it's sort of under the shade and it's a better place for the chickens, I need to be a bit careful, because it's in a depression. So when it rains, and it does rain pretty heavily here, when they switch on the harp thing, it would flood. So I have to like raise it on something, and it's also like in an area close to where the tractor is. So I need to like just figure out exactly where I want to place it and how I'm going to raise it up and stuff, and then I'll probably get some chickens. Other livestock, again, I even hate the idea of chickens. I'm not really, you know, I was raised as a hunter and a guy that worked and lived with guns, or you know, certainly all the way from my childhood to my 30s. That's my natural inclination. I think passed it on to my son because I want to walk around with a with a little pellet gun, and said, "Oh, okay, yeah, you wanna go hunt? You wanna go walk in the forest with me for, And I said hunting, like just to get him into it. He goes like, "Yeah, I do. What are we gonna hunt, Dad?" It's like, maybe a bird if we get lucky. And it's like, there's fuck all, there's I knew that we wouldn't. And plus that pellet gun is like very inaccurate, and it's not. I've tried to like make it accurate. It's not. But I was just like getting you into the idea. He looked at me, he goes, "But Dad, I don't want to hunt birds. I want to hunt bears and rhinoceros." It's like, fuck. Yeah, my genetics are definitely in there, as are his grandfathers and his great-grandfathers before him. And it's just, yeah. Sam says, "I love those guinea fowl, but they're too damn noisy." Yeah. Guinea fowl, I don't like the taste, actually. Neptune Dream says, "Hi everyone, what is your take in Asian religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, or Taoism? Just curious." I actually write about that in the Systema, the advanced Systema techniques and stuff that I've just finished draft, but it'll take me a couple of weeks. There's some videos that I need to make to go with it. I basically was a Zen agnostic. I got accused of being a Taoist like regularly. It was pretty close to my own philosophy. Hinduism, no, because there's a lot of these like weird gods that, the elephant head, the multi-handed Kali, it's a very pagan religion, Hinduism, and plus the caste system I don't agree with. But Zen Buddhism with a little hint of Shintoism mixed in with Venetian death before dishonor kind of stuff, that was... the best way to describe this, I was essentially a Zen agnostic for most of my Japanese Zen agnostic, most of my adult life. And I probably would have stayed pretty much there, except I had a road to Damascus moment that just blew that away like so much ash in the wind. Amit says, "David published a chicken book recently. I've just started it, so no opinion other than the premise of game chickens is interesting." Yeah. Guinea fowl is not a Dago joke, by the way. No, I know that. It's I know what guinea fowl are. A shot bunch of them. Neptune goes, "Oh yeah, the samurai path." Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was... I grew up with like... My dad was a third dan in Shotokan Karate when I was born, pretty much. Or shortly after. And in my family, we have a long history, which I managed to trace back for at least 800 years of, well, you can see it. Oh, you can see it there. That's my family emblem that we've had for over 800 years. And the family motto, which is on that shield, is Omnia Vincit Amor, which is related to that concept. And of course, Catholicism, God is love, right? Omnia Vincit Amor is Latin for love conquers all. And I'm really proud of that motto, and I'm really proud of the fact that we were around for that long. And we have a long history of being pretty pugnacious, I think is the word. Don't shy away from a fight. In fact, the first information about the Philo family from about the year 1200, which is when they were returning from the Crusades. After about almost 200 years of maintaining Catholicism in overseas, being funded from Europe and being constantly attacked by Muslims and betrayed and attacked also in conjunction with the Muslims by the Eastern Orthodox, who we went to help 40 years after they schismatically split from us, but we still went to help them. They were backstabbing us the whole time. We couldn't afford to keep doing it, so we moved back. And we even offered the Eastern Orthodox, hey, would you at least take the castles we built back and just control the hordes on your own lands? Nah, we're not going to do that. So it all fell into the hands of the Muslims. But anyway, when we were returning back from that, the first place we landed was in the south of Italy, where there was a feud that had been going on for about 200 years between a bunch of different families. And the Filo family basically kicked everybody's ass and put end to the feud. And because of that, they were made, the firstborn sons in perpetuity were going to be marquis. But there was two branches of the family, and the one branch that went north, the Silva branch, they weren't marquis, but they outdid themselves in the War of Candia. They went to Venice, they became Venetians, and in the War in Candia, they again performed so well, they got a patrician, they got the noble title of patricians, which is what's up there. The Silver branch was a bit more crazy. The Golden branch, they were given also the Tower of Santa Susanna, and that's why and how our name changed, because the name was Filo, and then when they gave us a tower, it became Filo della Torre di Santa Susanna, which is a pretty long name. So Filo della Torre, and then Venetians chop everything up, so Filotto, Filo Torre, just cut off all the rest. So Sam says, what's in the middle on the top of the bookcase behind you? Brown case. That over there, that over there is an English typewriter. That one over there is a brilliant typewriter, which is how typewriters should all be made, and that's an Italian typewriter. I think this might be a German one. Let me just, I forgot the name. No, it's American. Sorry, it's American. Rem Blick, which I think might be a joint of the Remington and something else. But the beautiful thing, you know how typewriters were like got the QWERTY keyboard to slow you down because otherwise people were typing too fast. And when you type too fast with the QWERTY keyboard, it like locks the things up. So that's why they put the QWERTY keyboard. It's the most uncomfortable thing, so that it would slow people down, so the keys don't all go there at the same time. Well, this typewriter has got a little drum, a drum that you put like right at the top there, and so you can type as fast as you like because the drum spins and that letter hits the paper. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant design. It's a better design than all the other typewriters. It's not in perfect condition. It needs a little bit of fixing, but I can't find anybody that knows exactly how to fix it. It does sort of work, but the return carriage is not 100%. But it's brilliant, and I still hope to one day write a little novella on that thing and then take pictures of it so that it like optical character reads it and puts it into like a book format. I want to try and start writing with a typewriter because I think it'll make you a better writer, because you have to you don't want to fuck every word up. So cool. Kind of spell it, please. I want to look it up. I'll tell you what. I'll put it in the chat. It's Rem dash Blick. There we go. I bought that when I still had money. I don't have any money anymore. Too many children and too much farm work and not enough other income coming in. So that's why you should all register as subscribers. If there's 10 of you, I'll probably collect like $50 a month, and that's more meals for the children every day. There you go. Do it for the children. So yeah. All right. I like typewriters. I think it was a better time. the level of, oh, I've also watched I want to tell you guys about that. I've been watching this little series on Netflix called the Ara San Jose. It's all in Spanish because it's about the submarine in Argentina that just sort of disappeared. It's an 8-part series. I haven't finished it yet, but man, it's infuriating. I'm on the last bit of it, and it's quite short. You know, each episode is only like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something like that. It's basically a documentary, but absolutely worth watching. And I think it's the epitome of government. And the thing is, all things considered, what happened in that thing, I think, still makes Argentina one of the places where there is the most transparent and clear and humane aspect of governance, because they actually, you know, the people involved actually managed to get some answers. They sort of managed to get to the truth ultimately, which I think is almost impossible to do in you know, most of the West now. So, but it's definitely worth watching. So yeah, that's where we are. So let's see. Some of you are being silent, quietly watching. Bob Newhart. What does Bob Newhart have to say? All right. Bob's more of an emoji guy, it looks like. Wasn't Bob Newhart a comedian that died recently, or not too long ago? I think he was. Very dry humor dude that appeared on a couple of episodes of The Big Bang Theory, I think. I don't know. I may be talking complete nonsense. Well, anything else I need to cover? I think I've more or less told you everything. You know, go love bomb Andrew Wilson on The Crucible and tell him he's a coward. And that's the blog post I wrote is apparently, I don't know if it's true. I hope it's not true, but apparently he's friends with Jay Dyer, which, you know, I have quite a lot of respect for Andrew Wilson, but if Andrew Wilson is friends with Jay Dyer, I've just lost a bunch of respect for him. Sam confirms that yes, Bob Newhart was a very funny, wholesome comedian. Yeah. What was that World War II documentary you watched? No, it wasn't about World War II. It's recent. It's about this submarine that went missing in Argentina. It's called Ara San Jose. So A-R-A and then San Jose, you know, like how you spell Jose, J-O-S-E, which is the name of the submarine. And I think it's called The Submarine That Disappeared or something like that. It's on Netflix anyway. Oh yeah, you know, Sam says Chris Christopherson and the great Pete Rose died yesterday. Yeah, I saw that. I quite like Chris. I don't know much about Pete Rose. I think it was Pete Rose is a baseball guy, right? Or was that Babe Ruth? I don't know. I think it was. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not good with names. Chris Christopherson I remember because he's got a weird name, I suppose. And yeah, I suppose they all had a decent run. They're all in their 80s. Although, thinking about it, I'm like, fuck, that means I've only got like about 30 years left. It's starting to bug me. So much shit I want to do. And, you know, there's so many things I want to teach my kids. And, like, I want to kind of still hopeful that I might actually see some grandkids before I peg off, which would be nice. But, yeah, it's... I was thinking about, you know, watching this program, I think made me think about that, about the Ara San Jose, because, you know, the submarine is lost, and of course, you know, families, like people died, and it's just like, what the fuck, you know, just from one day to the other, like someone's there and then they're not, and it's like, fuck, you know, we tend to not think about that shit. I've had run-ins with certain things that in the heat of the moment I thought were definitely going to kill me, and I survived them. And at one point I got so stressed out and so ill that, like, my blood results from my liver were so far off the chart that the hospital or rather the place where I'd done the blood tests, like contacted the hospital, called me at work and said, you have to come in right now because your situation is extremely serious and you might not fucking last more than a few more days. Like, okay. And you know, in England they're like fucking bad. So that was, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was happening, and I thought, well, fuck, maybe I'm gonna die soon. And I just my daughter had just been born, and she was a baby, little baby. And I thought, fuck, you know, I started to write at least a couple of notes, you know, like a postcard to fucking leave her, because that was the worst thing that bugged me about it. Was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to like help her or tell her anything or teach her anything. I was like, I'm dying. That bugged me, but I wasn't particularly scared. I've never been particularly scared of death. I don't know why. I've always accepted that that's how we all end up. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Chris Christopherson was great as the villain in the best Mel Gibson film, Payback. Yes, that's what it was called, Payback. Yeah, I love that film. It was really good. I always joke that film a little bit reminds me of a little bit of my relationship with my wife. Because, you know, we both have a rather convoluted history. We both have a rather, you know, obviously she wasn't a prostitute or anything like that. And like, I wasn't, you know, serial killing people or anything, but, you know, dramatized. It's not. I like the last line of that film a lot. I think the last line of that film was cool. It's very hopeful. I liked it a lot. So yeah, I like Payback. I was talking about this tonight. Sorry, I'm talking about. You mean Payback, Mel Gibson? Yeah, I did. I think I talked about it in the last stream. I don't know. I don't remember. I think I talked about it in the stream I did last night. I think. Don't know. Maybe. I've mentioned it before. I'm sure. I'm curious about your guys' reaction about Andrew Wilson. I don't know if you know who Andrew Wilson is. Any comments? You know, he's one of the best known debaters on the internet. Would you guys like to see such a debate? I'm pretty sure it's never going to happen because there's no upside to him. He's got a much bigger audience than I have. The upside would be probably to me. Oh, I missed it. No one I know in real life has seen it. What? Payback? Oh, you gotta watch it. That's brilliant. You gotta see Payback. Which, by the way, I think is a remake of a very old film with Michael Caine in it. I think, which is called Get Porter, I think. I might be wrong, but that's what I seem to remember. So it's an American remake of an old British film called Get Porter, I think. I may be wrong, but that's my 12 out of 12. 12 thumbs up from my 12 apostles. No, guys, I'm not blaspheming. I'm not comparing myself to God. That's not it. I'm just saying, loyal henchmen. All right. Well, I don't know. Unless you guys have a brand new hot topic that you want me to cover. By the way, I haven't heard anything else on the Marburg virus, but then I haven't looked, so I don't know if that is spreading like wildfire, if there's anything going on there, or what else is happening. But that's, I suppose I could go and have a quick look. Let me see if there's any news on that Marburg virus. my health experiments are always interesting. Well, actually, that's one of the things I was thinking of doing for the subscribers. Putting up a little, and for myself, you know, putting up a little workflow, I suppose, of exercise, food, what I'm eating, what I'm not eating, what I'm doing, and you know, use it both as a thing to give myself a little bit of a kick in the ass to just stick to stuff, because if I have to like produce it for you guys and give you updates on it, then I'm going to stick to it easier, better. Yeah, just do a little bit of experimenting on myself. But lately, I'm feeling a lot healthier than I have been for a long time. So that's encouraging. And I've got some blood tests here that I need to do. Which my doctor asked me to do like fucking 2 months ago. So I better get my ass in gear, because when was this? I only have like 2-7, so 8, 9. Oh shit. Oh, 6 months. Cool. It's past more than 3 months ago they've asked me to do this, so I need to get my butt in gear and go and get some blood tests done. What to know about the Marburg disease outbreak 1 day ago? Oh, they were going to isolate him for 21 days. And what did I tell you guys? Image, a fruit bat in 2018 in Uganda. Blamed the bats, didn't I? We knew it was the bats. Because these bats, they escape out of laboratories, they do all sorts of experiments, these bats, yeah. Sam says it's a film adaptation of the book titled The Hunter by Richard Stark. Oh. Porter in the movie was named Parker in the book. I named my younger son Parker after seeing the movie and then reading the book. Wow. Thank you for that. I'm gonna look for that now. Thank you, Sam. See, that's what I like about my chat. It's filled with educated and erudite people who can think properly. It's beautiful, beautiful. Oh, and I've also had quite a few email, texts, and whatever messages from people that want to do another role-playing session online. They enjoyed watching. It's not one of the more popular videos, but I enjoyed it, and the people that played it enjoyed it, and there's a few people out there that apparently enjoy watching the role-playing game taking shape. You know, I think the trick to making it entertaining is to like keep it flowing quickly, so that people don't get like bored of the lawyering stuff. So I would have to set it up a little bit better. I have the like weapons tables and stuff out, just so I don't have to keep flipping through the things. But I think there are 20 plus Parker novels, hard-boiled anti-hero genre. Cool. Pulp type fiction stuff. Good. So if you guys are interested in the role-playing stuff, I think I would want to run a surviving the current zombie apocalypse games. I'd want to say, I know we ran a Wild West one just because it was very quick and dirty and easy, but I'd probably want to run the surviving zombie apocalypse, because you can set that in today-ish sort of setting, with some elements of fantasy, supernatural, whatever you want. That's kind of like interesting. Altoid PA says Point Blank is the other movie it's based on. Point Blank is with what's that guy's name? Is it Peter North? Who's the guy? I think it's the same guy that was in Fight Club, right? I can never remember his name. Edward Norton, something like that. Is that his name? Or Edward North? Or I don't know. I think I saw Or was that Gross Point Blank? Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But yeah, this thinking about films and books leads me to the conversation I hope we have tomorrow night with Tony about artificial intelligence and why I think it's absolutely demonic. And you have to be very, 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 very careful with it. You know what I think about this Marburg virus that's interesting is that in the last 40 years there was like less than 400 people affected by it. And apparently now there are millions of vaccines for it. Ready to roll because bats. Nationalist says, back with a vengeance. Hail Kurgan, hitting us with the content. Well, that's the idea. I want to, I like this community, small though it is because of the shadow banning. So with any luck, I want to get some proper subscriptions going. And then I think the Point Break. Point Break is the one with Keanu Reeves, right? The surfing thing. Yeah. That was a cool little movie at the time, I think. Here's a funny story. I can't remember if it was because of No, it was. I don't think Point Break had necessarily a lot to do with it, but it just reminded me of the surfing. Like how Keanu Reeves jumps on the surfboard and like day 2 he tubes or whatever. And I had a surfboard at the time in Cape Town, and I tried to like go out a couple of times with it. And about third time on it, and I tried to stand up, I slipped and fell, and the board like was, went a little bit underwater with the wave, and then shot back up just as I was falling, edge first up between my legs, and just slammed into my balls. Something. I was just like, oh fuck, let me just drown. I think that'll be easier. I was like, yeah. Sam says, as a bona fide bearer of the loyal henchman badge, I say that Altoid is wrong. Burn him, Sam. We shall not have heresy. I trust your judgment. No. Yeah. Actually, Altoid is right. I'm just trying to be a funny mean. Oh, well, that's fine. Sorry, Altoid, that we burnt you at the stake, but well, God knows his own. Yeah. Okay. Oh, the other thing that we haven't discussed is, I don't know, you guys can tell me what you think. So my daughter, I think at school or somewhere, she like heard about the whole P. Diddy thing. And she's like, Dad, did you hear about the P. Diddy thing? I was like, yeah. Like, well, it's really kind of interesting because I'm curious about it. And I'm like, look, daughter, as I've told you before, that whole industry is filled with fucking perverts and of the worst sort, And she's like, yeah, but like, what about this guy and that guy? And there's a meme that I've put up on the blog quite recently. It's just like, the Hollywood sign, and instead of it saying Hollywood, it says it's all of them. It's like, daughter, this is what it's all about. And so she's been sort of reading up into it a little bit, which it's news reports, so news paper, newspaper like articles, so they're not absolutely vulgar. The theme is fucking disgusting on its own, but I think it's a good thing for her to have a little bit of understanding of that stuff, because it's part of what I was saying before, that we've all been brainwashed into accepting all sorts of perversion as just being normal. And the reality is that pretty much all the entertainment that we consume is absolutely degenerate to the nth degree. And a much healthier thing would be to read, if you took a book out and read the Iliad, that would be a much, much, much healthier way to pass the time. But it's like, how do you revert to that or progress to that from where we are now. And I can only see two ways, but I think only one of those ways is going to be that work. One way is you ban it, you like to say, no, that's all evil, and that's never worked in history. What I think does work is to degrade it, is to demonstrate how the evil shit is evil and wrong and bad, and just associate it continually with the evil and the bad and the perversion that it actually is. Just make it very clear. Oh, you watch that guy. Oh, you listen to what Tom Hanks says. Oh, that guy. Let me tell you about that guy. Oh, you listen to what he said. You give a shit what that guy fucking says about anything, and yeah. Hollywood has been gross forever, sadly, absolutely. But like people like just sort of, Sam trying every technique. If Altoid had a LH, Loyal Henchman badge, I would respect him and probably mow his lawn and check his fences when he's away on business. It's like, I think, I think in my cult of personality, Sam, I think I'm just gonna have to make you, what is it? Gruppenführer, I think is the, yeah. Oh, that's the other thing I've been not slacking on because I've had too much other things to do, but I am going to eventually, but at my own pace and time, finish that police procedural with the moon Nazis that I've started the Substack for. And I know that Amit is a supporter of that. He's actually a paying member of that Substack, so thank you for that. He's a very loyal supporter. I need to try and write the next chapter. Let me just get this Systema book out, and then I'll probably get back to that one. All right, well, I've been going for an hour and a half. Sam says, okay, I'll quit now. But don't you stop now. You still haven't, just for the next stream, remember, Sam, there's one simple trick. You still have to use that one. But yeah, guys that you hear, nationalist, whatever, Altoid, I'm quite happy to interact with the chat, because it's been, from the very early days, it was always culled down to like people that actually make a difference and matter. And if any of you, pardon me, get a hold of Greenie Houdini, let her know that she still hasn't sent me an email to do that interview with her about being off-grid, because she's apparently achieved off-grid. She said she's like $15,000 away from being fully off-grid, and she's been working her ass off to do that. So I'm interested in finding out about that. Thanks for stream. I'm way late. I'll watch the replay. Yeah, no worries, man. That's, it's a volunteer thing, this, you're not going to get your 20 lashes if you don't show up right at the beginning. Neptune Dream says, my computer died. I'm in my phone now. Okay, actually, I'm an Argentinian, and you're talking about Ara San Juan. Sorry, not San Jose. You're absolutely right. San Juan, which, if I'm not wrong, is St. John, right? Sorry, I didn't know that you were an Argentinian. I mean, that was fucking astonishing. And like how that Mauricio guy, that president, why, well, we know why. They tell you why, but that fucker should hang, right? But hey, they're all the same, right? Just like the Hollywood sign, it's all of them. Politicians, same thing. It's all of them. We need a mass cleansing throughout the globe. I don't know. I've got this sixth sense of it that I don't know if I'll see it in my lifetime. Maybe it'll take a while. Maybe I will. I hope I will. But I've almost got this sense as there's a rumbling. Yeah, it might get darker still quite a bit, but there's almost like a rumbling of we've had enough. And then it's going to fucking all suddenly change all in one go, like very quickly. By the way, all Nazis are welcome to Argentina. Never. I would have never guessed there would have been any kind of Nazi type guys in Argentina. Argentina is actually a very interesting country. It's one of the places that, as a kid, since I'm a kid, I've had a couple of places on my I'd like to see that place before I die. One of them was the Arizona crater, which I did get to see, but they didn't let me fucking walk around it, so it pissed me off. One of them was Alaska, which I don't like the cold, and I probably wanted to see it because I had a sense of freedom there, but I don't know, you know. Sure, if I become a millionaire tomorrow, which is not very likely, I might go check it out just to take it off my bucket list, but I don't know if I'm that keen on it. Antarctica was one which would definitely be cold, would definitely be a bit of a pain in the ass, and I would want to go see, but again, the restriction, I would want to be like, fuck all your restrictions, I want to go see the places I want to go see in it, because I think there was Nazi bases there, but of course doing that will probably get my ass droned before anybody knows anything about it. So, you know, again, a little bit dodgy. But Argentina is one of the places I wouldn't mind seeing even now, you know, even in my advanced age. I would love to check it out. I want to see the Pampas. I want to see like little villages. I want to see the mountains. I don't know, it would be a cool place to check out. And there's like a huge chunks of Brazil that I've been to Brazil and I've seen it a little bit, but it's a huge country. I'd like to check out some of those places as well. So. Nationalist says America sure seems like it's on its way out sooner than later. Dude, I'm just curious to see if anything will happen after your elections, regardless of who wins. I still think nothing. I still think nothing will happen. I just think that the average American has been so pumped full of Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever that he's just like, ugh. Sam says, Kurgan, when you next come to America, I would like to show you the rural Midwest. The cities are all gay and retarded, all of them. Yeah, sure, why not? I'm always up for seeing all sorts of things. What have I seen in the States? I've seen Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, basically. I'm kind of done with the whole of Minnesota. The way I would define Minnesota was a great place full of great people with a gray sky that do great things on gray days in gray houses. It's just kind of like Iron Dome sort of over the sky kind of thing. I don't know, I found it very depressing. I saw California, which was in San Francisco. You know I've written in the blog about Rome being the Omphalos of the world, you know, the belly button of the world, and San Francisco is definitely the asshole of the world. And then I saw Arizona. I quite liked Arizona. I liked Arizona. Arizona is the place where I probably spent the most time. And I saw the Grand Canyon, which again, cool, but you know, they're all places that you'd need a few years to like get a sense of the place, you know. It's a huge country, again, America, and it's got some very, very beautiful geography and things. So yeah, why not? Again, if I had endless money and time, if I had endless money and time now, I still probably would spend most of it getting as much books and videos and stuff out, better videos, because I'd hire crews to like film things. But films, I would make films and books the whole fucking time for at least the next 10 years. And, you know, probably going some trips here and there, but I've traveled a lot. I wouldn't say I'm tired or done with it, but I'm a little bit done with it, you know. Neptune Dream says the Patagonian region is a beautiful part of the country, but the economy is a fucking pain in the ass. Tell me about it, dude. I'm in Italy, so I know all about the economy being a pain in the ass. With no lube either. Nationalist says the West is beautiful. Lived in Utah for a while. So much nature, not very many people. Yeah, I'd say that's one of the really cool parts about America. I think if I had to go and see America, I'd like to see more of the south of America. You know, like, I know it's mostly desert, and that's not all of it. And wait, okay, if I had to pick a couple of states, I would pick Wyoming. I want to check that out just because my eldest daughter and I like really quite like the Joe Pickett little series. Although there's like bits, and there's a running joke where they, in the Joe Pickett thing, they get stuck in this cabin and there's like guys after them, whatever, and then they just like run away from the cabin on like fully loaded horses that just appeared out of fucking nowhere. That lost the horses, they were without horses, and then they just run away from the cabin like on their fully loaded up horses with like saddles and guns and all sorts on the horses. And I was like, we're watching this together, and I was like, where the fuck they pull the horses out of their ass? And she just burst out laughing. And so now, when we're watching stuff together and there's like plot holes, like we watched I can't remember, some film together recently that we watched, where a guy's like sort of here and then just like, boop, he appears somewhere else, where the camera cut, but it makes no sense. He would have had to like teleport to that distance to get to where he was going. We're like, oh, and she's like, oh, more superpowers, Dad. And I go like, yeah. He doesn't have horses up his ass, but he's got teleportation. And so, but the thing is, the scenery, I think is filmed in Wyoming. It looks really cool. There's another place that I want to go, which I don't, let me see if I can see it on the map. I never remember the name of it. I think it's Newfoundland. It's sort of like, in my mind, it's a little bit the place where a lot of the H.P. Lovecraft stuff is set. So it's kind of like a little town in a seaside kind of town, but in the north, where it's a bit foggy and a bit mystic, and I want to check out a place like that just to see what the people in a place like that are. My main problem with the planet is the humans on it, really. One of the things I quite liked about Brazil is that, the IQ level is nowhere different there than anywhere else, but they're a bit more alive. They're a bit more completely unreliable as people, generally speaking, but they're a bit more, there's a bit more humanity. You can have an interesting conversation with a guy, even if he's not like a genius or anything. Because they just have a pretty decent take on life in general. Argentinians, I think, are kind of like a bit more European-ish, but I think probably somewhat similar. There's some similarities, I think. And there's a bunch of little places I wouldn't mind checking out, like Paraguay, and there's lots of places in South America and Central America I wouldn't mind checking out a bit. Kind of done with Africa, pretty much. And there's some places in Asia that would be interesting, like, I quite enjoyed Kazakhstan, and I wouldn't mind checking out, Kyrgyzstan or Uzbekistan, those kind of places. They're actually more interesting than you'd think. But yeah, as the older I get, the more I want to remove myself from society and go live in the hills. Sam Werb says, the Midwest, I tell you, western Pennsylvania to eastern Indiana, southern Michigan to northern Kentucky, millions of Catholics here, some cities. Yeah, I'm aware of that. But Pennsylvania seems to be like a hub of evil in many respects as well. I don't know, it's kind of strange. Nationalist says, I'm in Indiana, I need to find some cities. Well, go to the luxvera.org, and then Tony, who's hopefully going to be online tomorrow, I'll put his, he's created a map of like city churches around the world, I think. So we'll put luxvera.org, it's luxvera.org, and then I can't remember what Tony's site is, but that's where you find city churches. And there's a guy from Finland who, like, they don't even have any church in Finland, and he went overseas just to like get baptized and stuff, and married and confirmed and whatever. So it's all good. All right, guys. It would be a lot better if we were closer and had more freedom generally. That is what I would wish to see all the nations of Europe going back to being their own nations, and the people in them putting governments in places that actually care about their people instead of the globalist agenda. But, well, I think it's up to us to make those things happen, I suppose. Anyway, thank you all for being here. It's on nearly 2 hours, and tomorrow I should be back with Tony on discussing artificial intelligence. And we only need 5 more. Come on, just 5 more of you to sign up and become paying members, and then we're gonna do like live streams just for the members as well, and I will do those regularly. Sam Webb says, a year ago you signed off a live stream with this and it changed my faith life. May the Lord find you in his mercy, protect you and help you. Let's all say that every time we meet. What say you? Yeah, sure, you can do that if you want. Why not? And I do hope that. May the Lord find you and in his mercy help you and protect you. I do wish genuinely that for every single human on earth, not just my chat, but I think, sometimes, as my grandmothers used to say, you got to work your ass off and then heaven will help you, sort of thing. They said it much better in Italian. It's like aiutati, il cielo t'aiuta. So help yourself and heaven will help you. So you got to work at it. But yeah, thank you, Sam. Thanks for being my PR man. Appreciate it. And thank all of you for being here. I appreciate your time that you spend with me. You could be wherever you want, but you come here to listen to me when I don't even give you any warning I'm coming on. I am giving you some warning. Tomorrow night I'll be back at probably around 9 p.m. my time. I don't know what that is in wherever you guys are, but you can figure it out. Rome, Italy time around 9 p.m. should be when I come on tomorrow. Thank you all. God bless every one of you. Good night.